you're a Hall of Fame player. To hear you talk about,
thank you.
No, but to hear you talk about the stress of free agency, like knowing like if you were on the open market, you have incredible value, but there's the assurance of an extension, the assurance of being in one place, the assurance of certainty really is important to your overall mental health, your overall well-being, and certainly your overall performance on the court. It's neat of me to hear you say that.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's important all those things. It's important as someone with a wife and 3 children. It's important. I have 7-year-old, 5-year-old. They're school age. Like you're talking changing schools, potentially changing cities and states. To lock that in, and like you said, certainty, I think, is the big word. I think in life, we're all chasing certainty. Like no one, except maybe a sick fuck, no one loves the unknown. I hate the unknown. Like I am trying to do everything I can to have things line up like this. Like I don't want to deal with the unknown. And that's free agency. I mean, free agency can be held up for 6 days because everyone's waiting on one guy to sign, right? Like that is the uncertainty of free agency. Free agency, the money can dry up in 2 days, as we saw a year ago. Like you don't know. And so I think for me, when I just got my last contract extension done, I could have waited and got more money. But let's look at that scenario, right? Like if I waited, I think I probably could have signed for 160 or 170 or something like that. But let's look at that scenario. I wait. I don't sign my extension. The Golden State Warriors then go, Steph Curry breaks his hand. Klay Thompson tears his ACL, which Klay's was before I signed the extension. Steph's was after. And then we went 15 games, and I'm up for an extension. We're probably not sitting here in San Francisco doing this podcast today. Because here I am going into free agency and with an expiring contract, and we suck. Now, it's the first time we sucked in my entire career here, but we sucked. And it was miserable, by the way. But so imagine I don't sign that extension. I don't secure the money I did. I'm counting another guy's pockets and what this guy got. Then all of a sudden, you're looking at a totally different scenario of possibly hoping I got the same deal I got somewhere else, but definitely getting it somewhere else and not hearing. I didn't want that, which is why I locked myself in. But most guys don't.
Do you feel like the younger generation is learning the lessons that you guys have gone through?
The hard way. And why I say the hard, the young guys don't listen. Like these young guys today, these young guys are out of their minds. Like they don't listen. They think they got it all figured out. It is very refreshing when you do meet some of the young guys that do listen, because so many of them think they got it figured out already. But the reality is these young guys have been living NBA lives since they were in high school. So they think they've been living NBA lives because this guy was giving them money. Some of these guys, like I heard one kid who's now in the league, is hilarious. Every time I see him, it's the only thing I think of. One of my homies who worked with him is like, yo, he takes Uber Black or Uber SUV everywhere he go. And that may be a small thing to most people, but I'll hop into Uber X in a heartbeat, because the difference in between $35 and $180, 4 or 5 times a week, you're talking $500-$600 a week. It starts to add up. You got young guys who's still in high school, like, I only take Uber Black or Uber SUV. Number one, who's footing your bill? Because there's an idiot. And hopefully you don't have to pay this money back, because you don't see how that's adding up. And so I just think with these young guys, they think they got it all figured out. And it shows when they play. Like, you don't have it figured all out, my man. You may score 20 points. That shit don't look good. So
you just brought this up. Kevin leaves for free agency. Well, prior to that, Klay Thompson tears his ACL. Kevin leaves for free agency. Season starts. Steph breaks his hand. You guys win 15 games. Look, you're a confident person. Klay's confident. Steph's confident. All that stuff. But Were there any moments where you felt like your window had closed?
Absolutely. 100%. Because what?
No, I was expecting a different answer.
Absolutely. And not that I felt my window was closed because I couldn't perform per se, but I just felt the window was closed because now people, like, I couldn't get myself going. Like, I couldn't get up for a game. Like, I could get up for a big game. Like, that year, my best game by far was Christmas Day. That's the stage. Like, we're playing against Houston. All these guys on this team may not have a thing with Houston because y'all haven't been here, but I got a real thing with Houston. I mean, this is coming off 5 straight finals run. Smacking Houston was to get to 3 of those finals. We need to beat Houston. We suck. We got 4 wins right now, but we need to beat Houston. And so I was locked in for that game, and we won the game, and I played great. And so that was like a huge moment for me. And so it was never a point to where I felt like, oh, man, my window is closing because of my skill or because of what I bring to the table. But if we're going to suck like this every year, my window is closed because I can't get up for these meaningless games. I mean, Coach Curtis told me one day, he said he pulled me to the side a few years back. It's when we were competing for a championship. And it was the end of the season, maybe last 7 games. We had already locked up the 1 seed or the 2 seed, whatever we were going to be. And I'm like out there just going through the motions. He pulled me to the side. He said, you have to be the worst meaningless basketball game player I've ever seen in my life. You want to just come out the game? And I'm like, well, coach, I've been playing now. Like, I can't just come out the game. He's like, all right, well, let's figure out a way to get you sitting 3 or 4 of these last 7 games and still stand in shape, but I just don't really want you in these meaningful games. And so it was never a talent or what I can do thing. It was more so just, if we're going to keep losing like this, I can't get up for these games.